On this episode of Cox Connections, since 1924, the American Heart Association has been working to eliminate cardiovascular diseases and stroke. Their Go Red for Women campaign has saved more than 627,000 women's lives. Today we'll talk about how the American Heart Association helps our community learn the important symptoms of heart attack and speak with a heart disease survivor. Also, 7 years ago, a group of young men born and raised in Virginia Beach decided to pool their resources and help families in our community deal with a deadly disease. We'll introduce you to the important work done by the Virginia Gentleman Foundation. And in 2003, a concerned group of local citizens came together with members of the business community to build the award-winning river restoration project called Lynn Haven River Now. Find out how this group is working to have a clean and healthy Lynn Haven River and how you can get involved. Stay tuned, Cox Connections is next. Hello and welcome to Cox Connections. I'm your host, Gary McCollum, Senior Vice President and General Manager for Cox, Virginia. Heart disease has traditionally been seen as a man's disease, but in reality, heart disease causes 1 in 3 women's deaths each year, killing approximately 1 woman every minute. It is important to note that 64% of women who have died suddenly of heart disease showed no previous signs, and 10,000 women under the age of 45 will suffer a heart attack this year. Here to talk with us about the American Heart Association and the specific symptoms women experience with a heart attack is Nichole Smith of the Hampton Roads American Heart Association, and also joining us is Nichole Smith, heart disease survivor and volunteer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let me first thank you for taking the time to be on the show. Jennifer, let me start with you. Tell us about the American Heart Association and the Go Red for Women's campaign.
Well, the American Heart Association is actually the nation's oldest and largest volunteer organization, and they're devoted to fighting heart disease and stroke. Their mission is building healthier lives, and they do that by reducing the incidence of heart disease and stroke. And one of our major national initiatives is Go Red for Women, which was started 10 years ago. And over the 10 years, we know that we have positively impacted the health of over 625,000 women. Locally, we are hosting our second annual Go Red for Women luncheon this year. It's on May 16th, which is during Stroke Month, at the Founders Inn. And while it's fun and educational, of course, it's also all the money that we raise from this particular event goes specifically to research and education just for women.
Jennifer, why is it important for women to know about the risk of heart disease and stroke?
Well, first and foremost, heart disease is the #1 killer of women, and stroke is the #1 disabler and the #3 killer of women. Also, we know that an estimated 43 million women are impacted by heart disease and stroke, and 90% of all women nationally will have 1 to 2 of the risk factors. Also, unfortunately, since 1984, more women die each year from heart disease than men. You mentioned initially that we always thought of it as a man's disease, and so the awareness is so important because women have traditionally thought breast cancer was their biggest health risk, when in fact 1 in 31 women will die of breast cancer, but 1 in 3 women will die from heart disease or stroke.
So let me ask you this, what are the symptoms of a heart attack, and are these symptoms the same for a man or a woman? Are they different?
No, they're different. Women's symptoms are more subtle, and therefore many times they're just missed or misdiagnosed. For instance, a woman will complain of overall fatigue, they'll have an ache in their back, they'll feel like they have the flu, they'll be nauseous. But we also then have some of the traditional symptoms of the jaw pain, the numbness down the left arm, and the pressure or pain in the chest.
So Nichole, I understand that you are a heart disease and stroke survivor, so thank God for that.
I am, yes.
Glad to see you're here with us. Tell us about your experience and what you've seen.
I was diagnosed as a heart failure patient in July of 2003. And I went to my local emergency room after not feeling well for a while, thought maybe I had the flu. And after some routine x-rays, it was discovered that my heart was enlarged. I immediately was sent to a cardiologist, a specialist in our area, and was diagnosed with heart failure as a heart failure patient. And it was shocking. I had symptoms, and now thinking back on it, I ignored them. I was like any busy mom, any busy woman, and just really ignored the symptoms and signs.
And again, I'm so glad to see you here. I'm glad this all worked out. And I think your message is a good one to not ignore those signs.
Not ignore the signs. Your body tells you when there's something wrong, and listen to it. While my doctors were coming up with a care plan for my heart failure, I had 2 strokes during that time. And I'm just blessed to not be debilitated because of those strokes. They were severe. I have superb doctors who helped me to recover from that situation, so I didn't have to get a heart transplant. So it's so important to be aware of what your body is telling you.
And it's so nice that you're here. So what has been your role working along with the American Heart Association and the Go Red for Women campaign?
I am a proud ambassador for the American Heart Association, and what I do is to go anywhere they ask me to go and educate women, anyone who would like to listen, especially families and church groups and community groups, about being aware of your heart status and your numbers, your blood pressure numbers, and living a healthy lifestyle. It just prolongs and increases your quality of life once you're aware to do something about it.
Yeah, it's just so nice. I mean, clearly your life has changed, but now you're impacting the lives of so many other people.
Proud to do so.
We only have a minute left. Jennifer, let me ask you this. I mean, there may be people who are watching, and clearly, hopefully, if they have not been getting checkups, and they're going to do that, but also there may be people in a position who can help. What can they do to help the American Heart Association?
First and foremost, they can be like Nichole. If they have a story, come to the American Heart and Stroke Association. We have a chapter in Virginia Beach, and go out and tell your story. Tell other women. Also, if you're listening to the show today, tell 5 other women about what you learned today, and make sure that we're getting the awareness out there. We still need to increase the number of women who realize that heart disease and stroke are their #1 risk factor and their #1 health concern.
Well, listen, I want to thank both of you for being on the show today. Jennifer, Nichole, all the things that you're doing that are clearly adding to the great community that we have here in Hampton Roads. Thank you very much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Coming up, did you know that our Oceanfront Boardwalk boasts the first ever fully handicap accessible beach park and playground in the nation? Find out how the Virginia Gentleman Foundation turned this dream into a reality. Stay tuned for more Cox Connections.